The case of murder has sent shockwaves on social media. A man in Bosnia killed his ex-wife and streamed it live on Instagram before he took his own life. More than 12,000 people are believed to have tuned in to watch the live stream as the horrific events unfolded. The 35-year-old bodybuilder and fitness instructor went on to post 2 more videos via Instagram Live, in which he told viewers of other murders.
The incident unfolded on Friday as a Bosnian bodybuilder, Nermin Sulejmanović, used his Instagram social media platform to live stream a horrifying shooting rampage that culminated in a murder-suicide, as reported by the New York Post. The 35-year-old Sulejmanović documented a series of videos capturing his violent spree, resulting in the deaths of 3 individuals and the injury of 3 others in the town of Gradačac in northeastern Bosnia.
Hey guys, we are back. Welcome back to the channel, and holy shit man, do I have something special for you legends today. Our last video went absolutely crazy. You guys showed up even after we disappeared for almost 2 weeks, and we came back swinging harder than ever. So shout out to every single one of you holding it down for the channel. You guys are the real MVPs, man. Now, if you've been here for a while, you guys know what we do, right? We roast these so-called alpha males, all these male bitches, right? Every one of these clowns thinks buying a Lambo automatically makes them a god, when the reality is we all see through that bullshit, man. But today's story, oh man, this one's different. This isn't just another goofy fake alpha crying on camera. This one's dark. This guy literally unalived his own wife, and not even for money or some gang thing, but for the dumbest, most twisted reason imaginable. And it honestly shows just how toxic this whole alpha male mindset has gotten. This shit is terrifying, man, and after this video, you guys will never look at Wes Watson the same ever again. And I'm telling you guys, man, when I first saw his face, I had to pause. The resemblance to Wes Watson is insane. Like, same look, same bald head. You guys can make your own judgment on the appearance and tell me down in the comments if he resembles Wes Watson at all. Before we get deep into this madness though, I've got to give a quick shout out to Danielle Kirsty. All credit goes to her for the original deep dive on this case. She did the full breakdown, the research, all that good stuff. I'll link her video down below because she did amazing work. What I'll be doing here is reacting to it, breaking down some parts, and giving my own take, because this story needs more eyes on it, man. Alright, let's get into it.
All are doing well. So the case we are covering today is absolutely insane, because on the 11th of August 2023, a man went live on Instagram. He was angry, he was aggressive, and there was blood everywhere. And this man, a man named Nermin Sulejmanović, had about 10,000 followers on Instagram, so he had quite a lot of followers. He was a fitness influencer and a bodybuilder, and Nermin on this Instagram live, he was ranting and raving. He was in this mysterious location, you couldn't really work out where he was, and there was a gun next to him. Nermin then pans the camera and a woman comes into the frame. She was covered in blood and in an absolute terrible state. Her face was disfigured, her eyes were swollen. It looked like her jaw had been broken and she was just completely black and blue. And this is when Nermin said to his 10,000 plus followers on Instagram, "Do you want to see a murder live?" And one thing led to another. A horrific chain of events happened. The most horrific and distressing thing was broadcast live on Instagram for anyone to see, and that is the case that we are going to be talking about today, so let's get into it. Nermin Sulejmanović was born on the 10th of February 1988, making him an Aquarius, and he grew up in the city of Gradačac in Bosnia. And Nermin had a pretty horrific childhood. First of all, he grew up during the Bosnian War, which was of course very distressing for him, but then when he was still a young child, his mom also passed away, again very distressing. This had an absolute devastating effect on Nermin. He really struggled to process the death of his mom. It made him incredibly angry, something that would definitely carry on throughout this case, and he became a very violent child. And it wasn't long until Nermin turned into a massive bully, and he was a massive bully in his school. He would take out his anger on the other kids around him. He would go around beating up pretty much anyone. And it soon became apparent that Nermin, he was physically bigger than most of the other kids in his school. He could physically dominate the other kids, and he definitely used this to his advantage. He was a very intimidating figure around the school, and this gave him a sense of power. It definitely went to his head. Definitely was the beginning of his narcissistic traits that he would go on to continue to have. And then it wasn't long until Nermin actually started to bully his own father. Yeah, so he's not just a bully at school, he's also a bully at home. He would be physically intimidating towards his dad. He would threaten his dad all of the time. They definitely did not get along, and I don't have any more details than that. But then by the time Nermin is only 15 years old, he turns to a life of crime. Definitely falls in with the wrong crowd. He started committing robberies, he started drug dealing, he also started getting mixed up with all sorts of criminal gangs. And this was pretty serious stuff too.
Alright guys, I had to pause it right there for a second, man, because as you guys just heard for yourselves, this Wes Watson wannabe, this Wes Watson clone, as we'll be calling him, who went by the name Nermin Sulejmanović, is exactly the kind of guy we call out on this channel. What this man goes on to do in this video is beyond disgusting. It's straight up heartbreaking. And honestly, this is a really sensitive one because it shows just how dark and twisted things can get when dudes start mixing money, steroids, and that fake alpha male mindset. This story gets dark, man, like seriously dark. So stick around because it only gets crazier from here. And huge shout out to Danielle Kirsty. She did an amazing job breaking this down, and I'll be pausing here and there to give you guys my take on everything.
He was making his money. His personal profile is getting quite big now, and people in the local area started flocking to the gym to be trained by Nermin because he really was a little mini celebrity in this local area. People wanted to be trained by this bodybuilder. They wanted that physique for themselves, and it is said that a lot of women were flocking to the gym to get close to Nermin, if you know what I mean. And his profile on Instagram just continued to grow and grow. He actually started doing sponsorships on Instagram, doing all sorts of brand deals, endorsements. So he's probably making a fair bit of money. And all of this attention, especially the attention from the women, it was going to his head. I mean, he's already incredibly egotistical. But Nermin was absolutely loving this attention. He was thriving. However, this is when something very significant to this case happens, because Nermin meets a woman called Niza. And this is where things would go downhill pretty quickly. So who was Niza? Well, her full name was Niza Hekimović, but she went by Niza. She was around 36 years old. She was a couple of years older than Nermin, and she has just been described as an incredible, amazing person. She was extremely caring and incredibly close with her family, and she was very family orientated, and she had dreams of starting her own family one day. And it is thought that Nermin and Niza met at the gym. She was possibly a client of his, or maybe she just went to the gym. But it didn't take long for Nermin to become absolutely infatuated with Niza. He would follow her everywhere. He wouldn't leave her alone. He was constantly asking her out. And eventually Niza agreed. So they go out on a date, and this is when the two of them start officially dating. Now there is a problem, because Nermin was a massive womanizer. He didn't know what a committed relationship was at all. But he would string women along, making the woman think that they were in a committed relationship when they weren't. So Nermin would just go from one woman to the other. A lot of the time, all of these women would overlap, and he was just chasing sex. He definitely did not want a relationship at all.
Now, I had to pause the video again, man, because I think you guys already know what I'm about to say, right? This monster only wanted this poor woman, Niza, for one thing, sex. It's honestly heartbreaking, man. This right here is exactly what's wrong with society today, man. And tell me this doesn't sound familiar, guys, because we've said this every single day on this channel when it comes to Wes Watson. The pattern is identical. This idiot only gets with women for sex, nothing else. The resemblance between Wes Watson and Nermin is actually terrifying, man. And trust me, guys, this story gets even crazier from here. So strap in because it only goes downhill from this point. Let's keep going.
And he planned to do the same with Niza. So Niza was all in this happy little bubble. She thought that Nermin was incredible. She was so happy at the beginning of their relationship. However, Nermin was planning on stringing Niza along. He only wanted her for sex, basically. And he was bragging to all of his friends that he was just with her for a little bit of fun, that he does not and did not see a serious future with her. And he definitely did not want to settle down and have kids. Niza fell pregnant. 2022, Niza goes on to give birth to a little baby girl. And Niza was over the moon. She was so in love with her new baby. This is everything that she'd ever wanted. She had dreamed of becoming a mom. Her little girl was her whole world now, and nothing mattered more to her than her child. Nermin and Niza also get married. They move in together and they start planning a future together. But unfortunately for Niza, things were about to take a sickening turn. Because soon after giving birth to their child and moving in together, this is when Nermin started to show his true colours, and he became the abusive monster that he always was. Because soon after their child was born, Niza was obviously showing that child a lot of attention, because obviously it's a newborn baby. Babies need attention. But Nermin started to get insanely jealous of his own child. He could not stand that Niza's sole attention was now no longer on him. So Nermin lashed out and he started abusing his wife Niza. He was physically assaulting her on a daily basis. He became the worst horrific abuser imaginable. He became the worst horrific abuser imaginable. He would beat his wife black and blue, punch her, kick her, throw her to the ground. Niza always had injuries, whether that was cuts and bruises. And Niza did report the abuse on multiple occasions to the police, but each time, nothing was ever done. And this goes on for months. The abuse actually just continues to get worse. And along with physically abusing his wife, Nermin is also repeatedly cheating on Niza. Now she's run away. That is only going to anger him and it could possibly get worse. And you know what? She's absolutely right. Because at that very moment, as soon as Nermin found out that his wife and child were gone, he instantly starts looking for her. Because in his mind, he truly did think, how dare she run away from me? How dare she take my child away from me? He also started messaging Niza over and over again, threatening violence. So Niza was so scared. She knew that her husband was capable of anything. And thankfully, the police agreed to help Niza. They agreed to help her get a restraining order on her husband. They are finally taking it seriously. So the police submit an application to the court for a restraining order. The application went in front of a judge. And guess what? The judge was a woman named Layla. She immediately denied Niza's request for a restraining order. And I am so angry about this. We have no idea why the judge denied this restraining order. I mean, it's pretty clear cut for me, this case. It is so obvious that Niza needs protection. And she now had no protection at all. And Nermin was doing everything in his power to track down Niza. He was calling her non-stop. She did turn her phone off, but this is when Nermin started harassing all of her friends and family, constantly messaging and calling them, threatening every single person to try and get them to tell him where she was. Niza was absolutely terrified. During this time, she actually did go and visit her grandmother, and her grandmother could visibly see how distressed her granddaughter was.
Now, this whole situation at this stage is just sad, man. This Nermin guy was clearly a monster. He had every single characteristic of these fake alpha males. He was a coward straight up for putting his hands on and abusing his wife. This is exactly why we call out these so-called alpha males on this channel, man. It's disgusting. Like, can you imagine a grown man jealous of his own kid?
Niza, she was incredibly thin. She had lost a lot of weight. She obviously still had her injuries from when Nermin completely beat her up black and blue. And this whole situation was taking its toll on Niza. Niza told her grandmother that she wasn't sleeping, she wasn't eating, she pretty much couldn't function because of how much terror she felt. But Nermin did not stop. He was determined to find Niza and his daughter. Nermin at one point even asked Niza's family family to come over to his home to collect all of Niza's belongings to take them to her. Which one of Niza's family members actually did go and collect her belongings? But Nermin had placed a tracking device in some of Niza's belongings to hopefully find out where those belongings would go to track down Niza. It's absolutely insane. Thankfully, the family member that did pick up her belongings found the tracking device, and they obviously removed it before they took Niza's belongings to her. But oh my god, the lengths that this man is going to try and track down Niza is insane. But then this next thing is truly unbelievable, because we now get to a massive twist in today's case. Because as we know, Nermin, he is dating multiple people at the same time. And he currently has himself another secret girlfriend. Now, the details are a little bit murky on this bit. There's been a lot of dispute on how close Nermin actually was to this woman. Were they even dating? Who knows? But I think it's pretty clear that they probably were. Just my opinion. But according to a lot of Bosnian media outlets, during this time that Nermin was trying to hunt down his wife and his daughter, he was also dating a woman named Janana on the side. Now, Janana, who is this woman? Well, she is a police officer. You heard that right. Janana is a police officer. Even though, if you remember, Nermin has stated that he hates the police and wants to kill every officer in the country if he could. But now he's dating one. Doesn't make sense, does it? However, it actually does make sense, because it is highly suspected that Janana was passing Nermin secret confidential information. And some of this confidential information was the exact location of his wife, Niza. Because the only people that knew Niza was hiding out at her aunt's house was the police. And Janana is the police. Because now Nermin finds out that Niza is hiding out at her aunt's house. He has her exact location. Now, I do need to say this, but later on after this case, Janana has denied these accusations. 9 a.m. Nermin gets in his car. He is full of rage. He has so much anger, and he only has one destination in mind, and that is Niza's aunt's house. And tragically, right next to him on the passenger seat of the car was a gun that he had. Nermin arrives at Niza's aunt's house at around 10 a.m. He starts banging on the door, demanding that Niza come out and she bring his daughter out as well. And everyone in this household immediately starts to panic. So the people inside this house currently are obviously Niza and her daughter, Niza's aunt, and then the aunt's son, i.e. Niza's cousin. So there's currently 4 people in this house. Now, Niza immediately grabs her daughter and goes to her bedroom and starts barricading the door to try and protect herself and her daughter. Now, Niza's cousin actually opens the door to Nermin to try and calm him down, to try and reason with him. However, there's no reasoning with this man, because Nermin pulls out his gun and he shoots Niza's cousin multiple times in the legs. The cousin collapses to the floor, and there is nothing he can do to stop Nermin at this point. Niza's aunt is currently breaking down. Her son has just been shot multiple times in front of her. She has no idea if he's going to make it, and she's now pleading with Nermin to just leave them alone, but Nermin points the gun at the aunt. The aunt tries to throw herself in the way of the bedroom that Niza and Niza's daughter is in, but Nermin just pushes her to the side. And this is when Nermin starts repeatedly kicking at the door of the bedroom that Niza has barricaded herself and her daughter in. And eventually the door breaks down. Nermin forces his way inside. He first grabs his baby daughter and he takes her outside to his car. Niza is screaming, but then Nermin goes back inside for Niza, grabs her by her hair and drags her out to the car as well. But as she is being dragged out to the car, Niza is screaming at the top of her lungs, help me, to literally anyone in the neighborhood, trying to get anyone's attention for them to help her. But then Nermin just starts beating her up, and all of this is happening in public. He starts beating her with his fists. He then throws Niza into the car. Their daughter is in the back of the car and he drives off. Niza's aunt is left behind and she is absolutely broken right now. Her son is literally bleeding out. Police eventually arrive to the scene 20 whole minutes later, which is ridiculous if you ask me, because this was a serious incident. A man man with a gun is shooting people and it takes the police 20 minutes to get there? Absolutely ridiculous. But the police eventually get there and thankfully they save the cousin's life. But because it took the police so long to get there, Niza is now long gone. And where was Niza? Well, Nermin is driving away as fast as he possibly can, and he arrives at an abandoned cottage, and he knew that no one was going to be able to find him at this abandoned cottage. And the cottage actually belonged to somebody that Nermin knew, and it was kind of used as a holiday home. So that is how Nermin knew that no one would be at this cottage, and he would be able to do whatever he wanted undisturbed. So as soon as he gets to this cottage, he drags Niza out of the car, throws her onto the concrete porch of this cottage, and he just starts beating her up again. He's beating her with his fists, with the butt of his gun. Niza collapses to the ground. She can no longer stand. She could barely even breathe at this point. Her face was completely black and blue, unrecognizable. Her jaw was completely broken. Everywhere was so swollen. And then Nermin goes and collects their daughter from his car and places this 9-month-old baby next to her mom. Now this little girl was screaming and crying at the top of her lungs. And this is when Nermin pulls out his phone. He opens up Instagram. And what does he decide to do next? Well, he decides to go on Instagram Live. So Nermin has started up a live stream, and at this point he has a few thousand followers, and hundreds of people start joining this live stream. And obviously his followers are following him for his fitness content. So I can imagine that they probably just assumed that Nermin was doing like a live workout or something like that. But the beginning of this video is chilling in itself, because you can see Nermin in this video and you can see that he's at an abandoned cottage, and it's just so eerie because the sun is shining in the background. It actually looks quite peaceful and serene, completely contrasting what is actually going on in this video, because Nermin then pans the camera down to the floor and there is just blood everywhere. You can also see a gun on a table, again with blood. And then after a few seconds, the camera pans to Niza. And I actually did come across this Instagram live video when I was doing my research. I really wish I hadn't. I have seen the very beginning of this video, but I could not watch any more because what goes on to happen in this video, no one should be watching this video. The beginning of this video itself has completely traumatized me and will stay with me forever, because you see Niza in this video and she is completely broken. She's just sat on a bench outside. She's completely slumped over. She can barely hold her head up straight. She has bruises on her cheeks, on her foreheads. Both of her eyes are black. Her lips are swollen. Her jaw is broken. Nermin then zooms the camera in on Niza and he starts saying the most awful, vile things about her. And at this point, hundreds of people are watching this video and they have no idea what they are watching. They were probably expecting some kind of fitness content, but now they are watching a video where it is quite clear that Nermin has beaten up this woman. Nermin then turns the camera on himself and starts addressing the audience, and he says the most chilling thing of all, because he says, "Hey guys, I want to show you something that you have never seen before. Do you want to see a real life murder?" And I just am truly lost for words. He actually said that. He actually said, "Do you want to see a real life murder?" on Instagram Live. He then turns the camera back on Niza and then he starts saying, "Come on, whore, why did you report me to the police? Who did you think you are?" And Niza actually responds, even though she can barely get her words out. She says that she reported him to the police out of fear because she was terrified of him, because she was afraid for herself and her baby. But Nermin wasn't having any of this. He just keeps getting more and more angry. And what is just absolutely heartbreaking is that in this video, you can actually hear in the background their baby crying. But there was nothing that Niza could do to get to her baby. Like, she literally could not move. And this poor 9-month-old baby was witnessing this horror play out in front of her eyes. And this is now when the helpless viewers on the other side started to try and intervene and stop this. They were saying, "Come on, man, calm down. Like, just chill. Like, don't hurt this woman anymore. Definitely don't murder her." And to be honest, I don't even know why I get surprised anymore by humanity, but unbelievably, there were people on this live stream that were egging Nermin on. Yeah, just when you think that humanity can't get any worse. Some of the comments were saying, "Go on, do it. You're a king. Bravo. Kudos to you. You're such a strong man. And it makes me absolutely sick to my stomach. Why would you egg on anyone to be violent towards another human being? I will never know. My assumption is that by this point, because this video had been live for a while now on Instagram, my assumption is that this video made it into the dark corners of the internet and the wrong kind of people had made their way to this live stream. But who knows, maybe these were just Nermin's followers egging him on, glorifying this potential killer on Instagram Live. However, more and more people were joining this live stream. It was getting into the Instagram algorithm. So it started off with just hundreds of people watching this video, and now it was growing into the thousands. And tragically, it is reported that some of Niza's own family and friends were now also watching this live stream. They were watching all of this unfold. They were watching Nermin say, "Do you want to see a murder?" And Niza be there, and their baby daughter be there. They had no idea where Niza was. They did not recognize anything in the background. They had no way of getting to her. Of course, they reported it to the police, but again, nobody had a clue where Niza was. But things are about to now take a devastating turn. And I need to warn you now, things are not going to be nice to hear, because this is when Nermin picks up his gun. He addresses his audience once again. He starts saying, "Here, watch the murder live now. Nice and easy. Are you watching?" And this is when he points the gun at Niza's head and he sadly pulls the trigger. Everyone on that live stream watching could hear the gunshot ring out. They saw the bullet hit Niza's head. They saw Niza's body instantly collapse as her life was taken away. And tragically, this is the moment when 38-year-old Niza passed away.
Now this story is so damn sad, man. I had to end the video right there. If you legends want to see the full version, I'll leave the ending of what happened in the video's description so you guys can see how this tragic story ends. Honestly, I was speechless after watching it. It's just revolting, man. Straight up heartbreaking. But what does this really show? It shows how dangerous people like Wes Watson are and what they're actually capable of when that fake alpha bullshit completely takes over their brain. I just want to say thank you, legends, for watching the video. This one was hard to make, emotionally, man, but I appreciate every single one of you for sticking around and showing love. Also, make sure to subscribe to Danielle Kirsty's channel because she's the one who did the heavy lifting with the full story. She makes some amazing content, so show her love too. And finally, if you liked the video, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment, and I'll see all you legends in the next one.